I was thinking about something, right? Yeah, I was thinking about that too. But
Peace, family.
how do you know when something's natural?
And we are back
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
for another episode.
Got that electric feeling to it. That's what I think vibes are. What you feel that way too? That's what's up. Yeah. So this is what we're bringing today. Waves of energy, mood changing, thought provoking, feeding the spirit within.
Another episode of Vibes, hip hop commentary. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in. Coming to check out your brother, you know. Now I had to let my theme music play for a minute. Courtesy of Mizzle Mix. Mizzle Mix.
When you feel that way about that thing, you know that shit is doper than dope because it is. That do wop, boom bap, and gang gang. We family over here with those vibes. That's what it is.
What it is.
That's what it is. We tell it like it is.
We tell it like it is.
Straight with no chase.
Straight with no chase. All right, family. Peace, peace, peace. It's your brother, 2020. And like I said, you're tuned into another episode of Vibes Hip Hop Commentary. Now, I have some things on my mind, and this episode is called The Outcomes of Dissatisfaction. Okay. The Outcomes of Dissatisfaction. So, we at the end of 2023. A lot of stuff has happened this year. Whole lot of stuff. We're going to be talking about well into 2024. With that being said, I am a user of YouTube just as well as, I guess you could say, a blogger myself in a sense. So, I'm always going through the website. I'm looking at different videos and stuff like that. Well, I came across the short that Jaguar Wright put up. She was talking about Jill Scott. Now, I bring this up for a reason. The outcomes of dissatisfaction are usually those things where people get exposed. Things get talked about. People get talked about. Cassie, the P. Diddy situation is an example. Jermaine Jackson just got convicted. I ain't going to say convicted. He just got accused of sexual assault that goes back to 1988. A lot of our actors, musicians have been charged with sexual assaults here over the last 6 or so months. Jonathan Majors just got convicted, gets sentenced in February. So I'm seeing the outcomes of dissatisfaction are exposure. The outcome could be being told on. Hell, in some cases, the outcome could become physical. But it's all coming from a point of dissatisfaction. And when you're dissatisfied to a point, you're going to react as soon as you get the opportunity to. And when you are dissatisfied, it's usually because there's no equality, there's no balance in whatever situation you're in. You feel like you're being taken advantage of, feel like you're being used, feel like you're being disrespected, feel like you're being treated inhumanely all the way around. So once you get dissatisfied, then you usually sit back in the cut for a little bit. You might plan out some stuff. You might say, okay, yeah, I got something for them. As soon as I get the opportunity, I'm going to go ahead on the spring in on them. Sometimes they deserve it. Well, for the most part, they probably do. Sometimes they might not necessarily deserve it. You might want to go talk to them before you do. Maybe y'all can straighten some things out so it don't have to come to that. But for the most part, it usually does. And when it does, it gets kind of crazy. So that brings me to a couple of my topics here, okay? So while I was watching this short with Jaguar, she said what she had to say about Jill. She had a little clip of her song in the short, or whoever put the short up. I don't know who it was. But I made a comment and I'm gonna read it to you. Because see, these are things that we really need to discuss in this sense. And, just being honest about it, I wasn't necessarily feeling any type of way. I was just kind of like making a point. So this was my response, or this was my comment on this short. The short was entitled Jaguar Wright exposes R&B singer Jill Scott being promiscuous. Now, we're just going to say allegedly, because, and this is the reason why I made the comment. So this is what it was. I said, half the people on this post don't really know who Jill Scott is. Her talent is undeniable, but what do you really know about her if you didn't grow up in Philadelphia like her and Jaguar Wright did? If you weren't around them when they were coming up, what makes you think you know her? From what? From her music, her acting? One thing I do know about us black people, we love to protect who we think we know, or protect these entertainers knowing damn well they are not giving a damn about us and our opinions of them. So do you really know her? I'm just saying. Okay. So after I posted this, I got some responses. Some people commented on what I had to say. Now, what that told me is that a lot of us feel certain ways about things, but we don't really share them with the world. Okay. Now, in my response to some of these comments, now this is on my page, my page is called Clear Vision Media Network. Okay. That's what this is on. So when I was commenting, when I made the comment, I was just basically saying, like, Jaguar has been around you. They knew each other. So since they knew each other and they were in close proximity, then, and on top of that, they worked together for some years. She might have been able to see some things none of us ever seen. Now, I'm not saying nothing bad about Jill Scott. You know what I'm saying? I think she's a beautiful woman. I think she has very, she's very talented. She can sing, she can act. I don't got no actual problem with her. But with the people that we tend to like or lean towards as far as entertainment, music, and things like that go, sometimes we might think that they can't do any wrong, that they're not human beings, they're not people. When they are. They're just like us. They're just in a position of power sometimes. They're in a position of fame sometimes. They're in a position of exposure, being able to talk about their talent, being able to express their talent, express themselves. So what I was basically trying to say is when we're looking at these people on the screen, when we're listening to them through the music, and me being an artist myself, I say the same thing about myself. What do we really know about that person unless they actually talk to us about it? Okay. Um, for the most part, you don't ever want to put your bad foot forward. You want to put your best foot forward. And in putting your best foot forward, you have to look at the people you're putting it forward for, especially when you're an artist, because being an artist, you're exposed to so many different people who have different agendas, different ideas, different ways that they look at life. So you never know what you're actually getting into until you sit down with these people and talk to them, or until you go to one of their parties, or until you attend one of their meetings. Then you'll know what you're dealing with. And sometimes it might take a couple of meetings for you to understand that. So, with all the stuff that Jaguar's been saying over the last 3, 4 years, she's pretty much been upfront and truthful about some of the things that go on in this industry. You know, um, a lot of people tend to look at gossip. They tend to look at the quote unquote the tea, as one of those things that is just sensational, but it's really not. When you think about it, what it really is just the stuff that goes on behind the closed doors being exposed. And the people who don't want to expose it usually have a reason for that. You know, um, Jaguar as a artist herself, she's been taken advantage of too. You know, um, she's been physically assaulted. She's been physically taken advantage of as well. By people who probably didn't have her best interests at heart. You know, and now is her time to let the world know. Now, if you've been experiencing the Me Too movement since probably about 2016, 2017, a lot of women been coming forth with the things that's been done to them by men and women in power. Okay. Uh, Positions of influence, positions of, management positions, executive producer positions, things like that. And some of these women view this as taking their power back, which I can understand that. The flip side of that is that was a door that got open for people who really didn't go through those things to try and get a piece of the pie, so to speak. Make up some stories. Sometimes they're made up, sometimes they're over exaggerated to the point to where a lot of us believe it happened until the alternative information comes out. It's always two sides to every story. So when the other side of the story comes out, then all of a sudden we like, oh, we didn't know that, you know, because we usually have a tendency to jump to conclusions depending on who comes out first. So if the person comes out first, then you're like, okay, well, they must be telling the truth then. Might not be the case. Okay. So when I was making my comment, it was a lot of different responses that I got in this on this particular comment that I made. And a lot of them made sense. Some of them, had a little bit of hate in them. Some of them, they were expressing some emotions, some feelings about what I said because it probably stirred something up in them. Now, I wasn't doing that on purpose. I was just because I was kind of like, stirred up a little bit myself when I made the comment. So I said something that, I'm saying I want us to keep in mind, family, because when this stuff is getting exposed and when these people are being talked about and all of these things are coming to light, sometimes we have a tendency to like really jump to an actual conclusion that we might have to sit down and think about. So one of the things I said was, let me get to it real quick. Now, one of the comments that was made in here is, was by somebody. This is what they said. What I do know about black people, quote unquote, y'all are your own and each other's worst enemy. Shake my head. Y'all are so easy to love and hate all the same. And then she, they had a little heart with the line going through it like it's a heartbreaking thing. So my comment was to them, have you asked yourself why is that? Who have we been under and influenced by for the last 4 centuries? Who have we been under the foot of? Who has been on our backs and who has been in our business in our neighborhoods for all this time? Have you and yours been a hater of us as well? Because see, a lot of people make these comments based on what they think and what they feel about a person, and they try to hide it behind some words and some phrases. And when you got the right set of eyes, you can see past all of that, and you can get right down to whatever they talking about and address it. I said, what have you done or said in our defense on our behalf as black people? And have you seen the things being done to us and stood by and said nothing? Then see my comment and decide this is a good time to voice your negative opinion. So you're saying how you really felt about us and our condition. Okay. That was directed to that particular person. Because, just because somebody says something, you know, you have to choose your words wisely. Because, when we get wrapped up in our emotions sometimes in our feelings, things tend to come out how we really feel and what we really think tends to come out. So the honorable the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us always think 5 times before you speak. Think 5 times before you speak, because that right there could keep you from saying something that you really don't mean. You might be caught up in the emotion and feelings of what's being said to you at the time, and you just blurt anything out. Okay. So I had to throw a real quick comment in on top of what I just said. I said I didn't make the comment to bash the sister, but to make a point of celebrity worship and perception. We have to understand these people are human beings just like us. They may have good hearts, but have been steered in a direction by those who have wicked plans and have the ability to get them in a position of supposed power in their respective fields of endeavor. See, that's one of the things the minister always talks about. What is your intention? What is your purpose? You know, you have to ask these people, you got this talent, you got this skill. What is your purpose of using me and my talent? Because he teaches us if someone doesn't treat you right, they're not going to teach you right. And at the same time, if they don't treat you right, they're not going to guide you right either, especially when it comes to this entertainment. You know, Hollywood does, Hollywood in the industry, they be on some other stuff sometimes. And, we as artists and people who are fans of those that are in these respective fields, we have to be careful sometimes. Sometimes we have to throw a warning out there, be like, hey man, hold on, bro, that wasn't you. You wasn't doing that a couple years ago. What's going on? That might be something that might be a wake up call for them. They might be able to say, oh shit, well damn, what was I doing? We might not have a direct link to them, but if they got a fan base of like 1 million people and 10,000 of us get on the post and be like, hold on, bro, what was you doing? What was that all about? That might get their attention. You know, 20, 30,000 of us say, hold on, man. Hey, that ain't you, man. I don't, you see, and this is what I mean by when I say, do we really know 'em? Because you just know somebody by the art that they put out, especially if you're not around them personally, So if the art starts changing, then you might have like, hold on, man, what are you doing, bro? You need to rethink that. I've been watching you for a while and you ain't never done nothing like that. Enough of us say that it might keep them from doing something else. Could be somebody they got them on some strings. Now they want to get them over here and get them over there. They got them on the strings and they got the puppet thing going on with them. You know, uh, got to be leery of that. So continuing on with the comment, I said, then once they're in the position, then once they're in that position, then they do evil things, uh, and act out of character, pretty much. So we are fans of our brothers and sisters while not knowing what they go through to get that bag, as we say. So while they out here trying to make a living, somebody might bring them a proposition and be like, hey, got an extra so on and so forth over here for you. Why don't you meet me at this party tonight? Then come to find out, they done put them in a compromising position and say, okay, look, I got this footage. So I'm gonna need you to stay in this contract for about 10 more years, or I'm gonna expose you. So you just gonna have to do what I say when I say it. That's how some of these managers can be. So we got to be careful about that too. But that's the outcome of dissatisfaction is usually when somebody decides that they want to voice how they feel and they might put it in the public. It could have happened in private, but they're going to put it in the public because they're so dissatisfied. They need to say something about it. Could be to embarrass the person, could be to call them out, could be to make them look bad. Who knows? But those are things that happen sometimes. When you have certain things that happen to you during life that you can't resolve, that you can't solve, it becomes a point of dissatisfaction. You might be carrying that with you for a while if you don't do anything about it. You might be, and it might start affecting other parts of your life. It might start affecting your job. It could start affecting, what I'm saying, your home life, your friendships and things like that with other people. One person do something to you and then it affects the way that you deal with everybody else in your life. It affects how you look at everybody else in your life, which is some of these comments that's what the comments were saying. You know, that's exactly what the comments were saying. And it was like, I could tell just by what I was seeing that some of these people then probably experienced this. Somebody said they were this and then they turned out to be that. But you ever ask yourself why sometimes? I mean, how many of us actually, look at a person that's across from us and wonder what they might have been through to get them to that point? You see somebody act out in the streets in a certain way. You see somebody act out in the store, act out in the hood, act out wherever you at in public a certain way. I mean, do you ever ask yourself what made them do that? Or even deeper, do you ask yourself what happened to them to make them do that? You know, uh, the interactions we have with people sometimes, and we see the disposition and the attitude they have, sometimes we got to ask ourselves, well, did something happen to them to make them feel that way? You know, I mean, I know I haven't really done anything to them, but has somebody else done something to them? These are questions we should be asking sometimes, because we're all a human family and we're all on the same planet right now. And a lot of the reasons why we treat each other like we do has to do with the way we grew up, our environment, the people that we've come across, family members, friends, how they treated us, how they made us feel, what they done to us, you know. Like we always say, our experiences make us who we are. So if our experiences make us who we are, how many bad experiences have you had? How many good experiences have you had? And what kind of effect did it have on you? Did it make you switch up and change? Did it make you buckle down and say, okay, I'm done? You know, what did it make you do? You know, so dissatisfaction is something else. Now, I'm probably going to make a part two to this, and I'm going to be talking about some other aspects of life like politics, government, and the outcome of dissatisfaction in that as well. So that's going to be another conversation too. But yeah, I mean, we got to be careful with that, family, because if we're not, then we'll have a tendency to take that out on people who probably don't deserve it, and we'll definitely be finding ourselves in a lot of different situations that we probably wouldn't want to be in, just because of how we reacted to something based on what happened to us. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. This is the new gear, courtesy of Midwest Clothing Incorporated. Well, not Midwest Clothing Incorporated, Midwest Clothing Company for that matter. Um, got some more stuff coming here soon. We're gonna be getting off into the fashion thing here. This was actually an idea of my brother Mizzle Mix. I wanted to see if I can expand on it a little bit, and make it a little more viable to the people. Okay. Um, got a lot of things coming up for 2024. Just want y'all to be on the lookout for that. Don't see me a lot more on the platform. Have a couple of guests, do a couple of interviews. I'm trying to expand the channel a little bit. Like I said, at first it was just for viewing purposes, but now I'm starting to get into this aspect of it. Um, I got a podcast on Spotify, Clear Vision with 2020. Just type it in, it's gonna pop right up. Um, go check that out. I did a lot of those podcasts. I did a lot of those podcasts on my phone because if anybody's familiar with Anchor, you can download that on pretty much anything. So some of those episodes, you're gonna hear some background nature noises and stuff. I'm outside. I'm in different places doing, episodes. Sometimes I record one part somewhere and then record another part in the house. So, if it sound different, that's the reason why. But yeah, go check me out, Clear Vision with 2020. And vision is spelled VIZION. Okay. Also, I got some music out on all the platforms, Spotify, Tidal, everywhere, music can be found, under Agent 2020, just like you see on the hat. That's right there. That's a 3. Okay. My name stands for something. I'll share that with y'all in another podcast, another episode. But it stands for something. I just don't have the dots in between each letter. But the agent, that's really an acronym for something. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But um that was just on my mind, family, for today. Uh, this is the 30th of December. I hope y'all have a safe and happy new year. You know, uh, put on the better you for 2024. That's exactly what I'm going to try to do. So, this is your brother 2020, and I am out. Peace.